And as soon as I got home, her first question was like, "Who are you pregnant with?" I was like,
I ain't telling you.
I'm talking about it. Like, I'm not ready. And later that week, he came home and he, told my mom, "It's me. I accepted and I want her to keep the baby." And my mom slapped him. And he said, "It doesn't matter. I still want her to keep the baby."
Oh.
And, for the first time in my life, aside from my grandmother, I had come full circle because I felt like somebody loved me enough to defend me. Like, keep it. So mental health is real. Counseling is real, but so is God. Just because you're praying don't mean you can't get a therapist.
Period.
Just because you're praying doesn't mean that you don't need the things that you need. You may need some medicine.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We can't pick and choose what gets us to be better because your healing journey is your healing journey.
Yeah.
That's it. When I lost my son, I lost my mind. I didn't eat for a month. I didn't bathe for a month. I sat in my window and cried every day. And I developed seizures, epilepsy. I wasn't born with it, but I developed it because it's called, for the medical folks in the room, it's called an autonomic response.
Welcome to Empower Her. It's your girl and your host, Nana. This is the show we educate to elevate and aspire to inspire. Y'all know when you meet that auntie that be telling you, "Girl, I've known you since diapers. I changed your diapers." And then you're like, "I don't know who you are." That's how I feel in this moment because when I met this woman, I was like, "I don't know who you are." And it's like, "Girl, I changed your diapers. I visited you in Ghana when you were little." And I love the fact that we connected again for us to sit here and talk about her story. So it's more than an honor to have you here, auntie.
Hi.
Her name is Nadlin Antwi.
Yes. Hi.
Welcome to Empower Her. It's an honor to have you on here, and this is a platform where I use for ladies who share the stories. And I've heard a little bit just about your story, and I was like, I need her on my show. She gotta share her story on my show because I feel it will be empowering. And when people hear your story, it might change your lives. So it's an honor to have you here.
Yes. I am excited to be here.
I know you're happy, like you're glowing. Your energy is making me happy.
Good. That
It.
means we're going to have a great conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before we start, I want to know a little bit just about you. The Nadlin Antwi that I probably met when I was 5, I don't remember.
Same person, different times, different places.
Yeah.
So currently, I have my my own home health agency, Horizon Healthcare Services.
Period.
And prior to that, I worked for the state of Ohio for 13 years as director of home care services. So I love that. My background is in social work, and then I have my MBA as well.
Okay.
I love both of them. I have 3 beautiful daughters who are my life. They're probably going to hate it, but I have Kyla, Caitlin, and Chrysalin.
Shout out to them.
Yes, period. Is that what you got to say now? Yes. So I am so proud of the girls and the women that they're becoming. So things like what you're doing really is an important thing because they have to be reminded, and you guys have to be reminded that we are powerful beings, women.
We are.
Yeah.
So let's start from, baby Nadlin. Where were you born and how was life like as a child?
Yeah. So born in Harlem back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, years and years and years ago. I went to Ghana when I was about 1.5, almost 2.
Okay.
And I stayed with my grandmother in Mampo, Ashanti.
Okay.
For the people that know the Ashantis, shout out to all the Americans out there. And I stayed with my grandmother till I was about 8. And then I came back to the United States. So I didn't really get a chance to live with my mom. And when I came back, I felt like it was a transition time with my mom. We didn't know each other. So we battled a lot. There was a lot of conflict there just because I was mad at her.
Why?
I was mad at her for taking me to Ghana. Like, why
You were 2.
Yeah, but I was 8 now, and I'm like, why did you do that? Like, I wanted to know my mom. I wanted to, be with my mom, and I was really angry at her. And I was just, the anger turned into rebellion. So whatever she said, I was determined to do the opposite of that.
Wow.
Because I was so upset with her and I didn't want to be around her. I didn't like anything she said. I didn't really respect things that she said because I was like, you took me to Ghana. You weren't really willing to be a real mom. That's not the way.
The fact that you knew that at the age of 8 though.
Yeah, I did. And I was very angry.
Wow. Where was your dad in the picture?
So at the time, my dad and my mom were not married at that time.
Okay.
But my dad was in the United States as well when I came back. And we just were trying to kind of reinstitute ourselves back into life in America again, right? So here I am, all brand new. What do you guys call it now? Fresh off the boat.
FOB?
I was an FOB. I was trying to go to school, find myself, do all of that stuff. And then we just battled, and we battled and battled. Somewhere around, I used to run away from home constantly because I didn't know her and I didn't want to be. So if she said something to me, instead of us talking about it, I will run away from home.
How many times did you run away from home?
I don't know if I can remember the exact amount, but it was more than 5.
Oh my God. Like, did it get to a point where they're like, well, she went away, she'll come back? Mm-hmm. It was a normal thing.
It was a normal thing. So around 15, finally, I think she was just tired and frustrated, and I went into foster care. And I was in foster care from 15 to about 18-ish. 18 foster care, when you're responsible of the state, you become emancipated, and that's a very fancy
let's go
word.
back. So who was your safe haven? We always have that adults that when they say A, B, and C, we listen. So who
have one?
Your grandma back home, even if
she was, but she was so far away from me.
Okay.
And things weren't like how things are now. So I couldn't just pick up the phone and call her and have a conversation with her. So I feel like I didn't have anybody. I was just out here in New York, bugging.
In New York.
Bugging, just acting out, wilding out, in for lack of a better word. And, I stayed in the system. I didn't really stay there. I had a foster mom, but we had a deal. She was Jamaican. And I'll go there and I'll be like, look, the first of the month, my money comes, my food stamps come, we split it, I'm out your house.
Wait.
I don't even want to know what you're talking about. We had a deal. And
so she wasn't even in it to help the kids.
No,
it was to
the money.
And you guys split it 50-50?
Yep. And I'll be out and I'll be back the first of the month again.
Wait, where were you at then?
I was in Brooklyn.
But you weren't in the foster home?
No, I didn't stay in the foster, so I was with my friends. I was everywhere but where I was supposed to be. So I did that till I was about 18. And 18, when I got emancipated, I was, luckily for me, my brain was, how do you say, my brain boame kakra. So I was able to go to school. I got a full ride to University of Syracuse. And around 18, where as soon as I was about to turn, my birthday's in December. So I turned 18, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. And I remember my then husband having the conversation of, hey, I'm pregnant. And he was...
You were married back then?
No, but we got married after.
Okay.
He was my boyfriend. And he says, oh, yeah, this is great. We're going to go to your mom and tell her we're going to keep the baby.
You know about your family?
I was like, you going to do what?
You don't know about that?
I said, you want to go and do this? And he said, yeah, I do.
Was he Ghanaian too?
He was Ghanaian. And he said, I want to do this. And I said, my mom... Have you met her? You sure you met her? And I remember we took a ride to Brooklyn because that was the only place where there was a Ghanaian doctor. And we got to the doctor's office and he did a pregnancy test. And he's like, oh, Auntie, what about Ningim? I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. I'm not pregnant. He lying. And the doctor's like, no, I'm pretty sure she's pregnant. I'm going to do an ultrasound and you're going to... And I was like,
How many months when you found out?
I was about 3.5 months when I found out. So if you know anything about New York, we lived in the Bronx. The doctor's office was in Brooklyn. That was a long ride from Brooklyn to the Bronx, let me tell you. And I sat there. I didn't even want my leg to touch her on the train. I sat there like, let me just get home. And as soon as I got home, her first question was like, who are you pregnant with? I was like,
I ain't telling you.
I'm talking about it. Like, I'm not ready. Yeah. And later that week, he came home and he, told my mom, it's me. I accepted and I want her to keep the baby. And my mom slapped him. And he said, it doesn't matter. I still want her to keep the baby. And, for the first time in my life, aside from my grandmother, I had come full circle because I felt like somebody loved me enough to defend me. It's a very weird feeling. It's a powerful feeling.
It's almost like when you're rebelling, that's what you needed.
Yes.
You needed
my savior.
Yeah.
He saved me in that very moment. We moved into his 1-bedroom studio apartment.
In New York.
In New York. It looked like a box.
Wait, so what happened to school?
I couldn't go. I had to forfeit my scholarship. I had to get a job. And I went through life in that way. I got a job at McDonald's. And he worked. And I had my daughter who was premature, believe it or not, at the
How
time.
many
When
months?
I had her almost 6.5, 7 months. So she had to stay in the incubator for a long time.
And you were 18,
And I was
dealing
18,
with this.
dealing with this, about to be 19. And I remember my mom never came in. She did not see my daughter. She was still so angry at me. She did not talk to me. She did not have...
Even after birth?
Even after birth.
Okay.
And I took her back to, we moved out of New York, eventually came to Virginia with the baby because we thought that was a cheaper place to live. We can start our lives over and kind of just do things. And I remember going back to New York to get her dedicated. And that's the first time she had seen my daughter.
Wow.
And I still remember that day, like, saying to myself, I'm going to be the opposite of her. I'm never going to be like my mom.
That's good.
I said,
That's a sigh of relief.
Yeah, I said, I'm never. And so for the rest of my life, I struggled to be definitely different than her. Like, I wanted to be nothing like the way she was. And now I say that, but truly, because I appreciate this so much, and I think what you're doing is awesome. I put some thought into this. Yeah. And I say that now. So when I was putting my notes together, I said to myself, I was so mad at her and so angry at her that I didn't want to be like that. Now I forgive her because I know she was just doing what she could with what she had.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people that I talk to realize, that they doing what they know. That time that they grew up is different. They didn't have that love that we can now show. They grew up in, Ajua, let's go home, go to school, eat. Like they didn't have that parent to hold their hand, love on them like how they needed. So now they're putting that kind of love on you. They know if you go the right path, I'm gonna love you as much as I can. If you don't, well, So she did her best in what she knew. And I'm pretty sure she knew better, she would have done it better. And a lot of people are now realizing that.
And I realized that a couple of years ago, but I love her and I appreciate her so much. And she's cute and adorable and she's old, and our journeys are different now and our paths are different, but at that time she was doing what she could. So I struggled. I went to all types of school. I got my very first degree was an associate's degree in occupational therapy assistant. And I went on and I got these degrees and I worked hard, and I wanted her to be proud of me. Because for the rest of my life, that's what I seeked for, her approval.
Wow. You went from rebelling to, I need your approval.
I need your approval.
What caused that switch? Seeing that she's doing the best that she can?
Seeing that she's doing the best that she can and wanted to prove her wrong, right? Because she had determined that I was no good. I was going to end up to be no good. And I wanted to prove her wrong. And so my ex-husband, then my husband, when he did the right thing, went home, wanted to marry me officially. And I remember he got to my dad's house and my dad said, thank you for trying to make my daughter, trying to not embarrass her, bring honor to her. And he said, but when a woman is pregnant, we don't do this. But since you've brought the drinks, I'll take it. And I'm going to drink it. But after she has the baby, you can come back. And I was so mad at him. I was mad at him too, because I'm like, why is he doing that? Doesn't he know we're young and we're about to live our lives together? So at that time, I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. I'm telling him. And don't ever, ladies, if y'all watching me, don't ever do this. I encouraged him. I bought my own cloth. I bought my own things. Yes, I did. I did that. I encouraged him, like, we're going to do this just to get it over. We're going to do the face thing. Just go in there. So I bought my own cloth, to the point that I bought my own engagement ring. And we went to my father's house and did the engagement and came back. I never, the entire time that I was married, I never felt like I was really honored, because in my heart, I knew what I had done. And that's tough.
Why didn't you let him do it?
He didn't really have the finances at that time. He was trying to honor me. And I thought, why not? Let me just help him out. Sat there and wrapped my own cloth, girl. Sat there, wrapped it.
When did the marriage come in? Were you guys still 18? Was it after birth? Like, what was the timeline?
So it was after birth. That's when the marriage came in. In between that, my mom and my dad had gotten back together. So remember, I came here when I was 8. My parents got reunited when I was 10. I stayed in my house till I was 14. My dad ended up having a baby with my best friend in the process of all of that.
Okay, slow down.
Yeah.
Let's pause.
Yes. Yes. So my dad impregnated my best friend, who is Puerto Rican, that used to come to my house at like 14.
Where was your mom?
There. That happened. And so This is the childhood. I just want to paint the picture of the family that I came from.
Oh, you painting.
And so my dad had that baby, and I remember, you know, her coming to me and telling me, I'm pregnant with your dad.
How old was she?
14. And I'm looking at her like, you're pregnant with who?
She was what?
14.
In high school?
In high school.
And your dad?
Was old.
Oh, wait, oh, of course.
Yes.
How did that happen? Like, was it forced?
No. My mom worked a lot. She had 2 jobs and she worked a lot. So
while she's trying to put food on the table,
and so what do I expect from her? Because she didn't know any love either. No one really gave her that either.
Yeah.
You know, and getting cheated on is one of the hardest things that you can feel
about
as a woman.
baby?
Yes. On top
with
of
a
it.
14-year-old?
Yes. And that's so hard. So in the process of all of this, I'm trying to get away. So at this point, I'm like, I gotta get away from all this drama. It's toxic. This is ridiculous.
Are y'all still best friends?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And my brother, Evander, yes, we are. And we talk still. Actually, when I went to New York recently and we got together and had dinner, and I saw my brother, my brother's
beautiful
son.
that you guys are still together.
Yes.
That didn't, like, you know.
No, we did for a while. I was very mad at her for a while, for about 2 years, and then I got over it. Wow. Yeah. So this is the household that I was in, of both people searching to find themselves. My mother searching to find herself, and at this point, I just wanted to get away. So when all of this happened, foster care, we got married when I was 19. I was about to be 20.
Okay.
And we got married in that way.
Was it the same age?
He was 10 years older than me. Yes, he's much older than me. So we got married after that, and we had my daughter. I thought, okay, we're playing house. We had this nice little family. We had this nice apartment in Occoquan, Virginia, and I had my sweet little Kyla.
Yeah.
She's the best first daughter ever. She was quiet. She didn't cry too much. She did whatever. You know, she was pretty content. Still is. She's a very content type of a person. She doesn't ask for too much. And you know, I had my my second daughter and my third daughter, my baby last, I call her. So then we had 3 kids together. And somewhere when I was, in between my middle daughter, I had a son who actually came home. I had him. He died 4 days after I had him.
Oh, no.
And when he died, I lost myself. I literally, mental health is real. So here's when I do my notes, and this is what I put in my notes. Please use everything in your toolbox to get better. A friend of mine shared that piece of nugget with me, and I keep it. So mental health is real. Counseling is real, but so is God. Just because you're praying don't mean you can't get a therapist.
Period.
Just because you're praying doesn't mean that you don't need the things that you need. You may need some medicine.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We can't pick and choose what gets us to be better, because your healing journey is your healing journey.
Yeah.
That's it. When I lost my son, I lost my mind. I didn't eat for a month. I didn't bathe for a month. I sat in my window and cried every day. And I developed seizures, epilepsy. I wasn't born with it, but I developed it because it's called, for the medical folks in the room, it's called an autonomic response. Every time my brain would get stressed to that point, I would seize. And at first I didn't understand it. You know, everybody told me it was witchcraft, and it was my great-great-grandmother, and wherever, somebody from somewhere. But it was really, I was sick.
How'd you come out of that?
I'm still dealing with seizures. Actually, I just had a seizure 2 days ago, I believe. Wow. And I'm still dealing with that, not as much. So when I got pregnant with my youngest daughter, my husband struggled. And I bring that story in to tell you that I wasn't available to him as a woman. So he went to other women that were available to him. And he expressed himself in those ways. But I wasn't about to be divorced because I didn't want to be like my mother, remember? I didn't want to be like her. I'm fighting to stay. Yeah. So I'm fighting to stay in this marriage. That marriage was over at that time. And I'm still fighting to stay in this marriage. And I got pregnant with my youngest daughter. And I was so happy because I thought I'm going to have a boy again, right? I lost my boy. I'm going to have a boy again. And I had a girl. She a feisty little girl, but I had a girl. And he was still having extramarital relationships. And I knew it was over, but I wanted to stay because I didn't want to be like my mom. Because my mom had a divorce and had 3 different baby daddies. And I wasn't about to be like that.
You knew it was over when you found out about the cheating.
Extramarital affairs. And we were disconnected.
Okay.
We just lost communication. We didn't talk.
But y'all live in the same house.
Lived in the same house. Let me let you laugh a little bit. There'll be times where we'll be intimate and I will sleep through it. Knocked out. Wake up like, wait, what just happened? Hold on. Let me get my hair, get my wig, pick it up off the floor, and move on. What?
No.
Because I was so disconnected from him.
No.
Listen, ladies, don't ever get that far in any relationship. It is not worth your being. It is not worth your time, and it is not worth your energy. I put that effort into just staying in that relationship because I didn't want to be divorced.
Can't be like your mom.
No, I couldn't. So the final straw is he went to Ghana. He had two sons. He had a son and a daughter in Ghana prior to us getting together. So when I said he was 10 years older than me. So I was very close.
You guys met at the age of 18?
Yes, he was older though.
Oh, true.
Yes.
Okay.
So he was 30.
So you were dating somebody 10 years older with two sons. You were ready to be a stepmom? Okay.
I was ready.
Okay.
Because he saved me from my childhood. First person that ever showed me love.
Okay.
So I was going to do anything for that man.
Okay.
And you couldn't tell me any otherwise. That I would. That's what I did. Let me just say I did that. And you know, he went to Ghana, and his son, whom I was very close to in Ghana, calls me and said, "Ma, Daddy got married." And I was like, "What you talking about? Daddy got married? That don't make no sense." He got married to who? He's sending me pictures on my phone.
You're still married?
We still married. He's sending me pictures on my phone. I'm like, this boy is lying. This boy, he don't know what he's talking about. He came back from Ghana, and when I picked him up from the airport, I could tell his whole being was different. Came to the house. I didn't question him. I didn't ask any questions. One day, he was talking on the phone, and he was speaking Ghana. And he's Fanti originally, but he grew up in Accra, so he's speaking Ghana. I'm like, who's he talking to? And I could, you know, the Ghana language is so rough.
Yeah.
It's so harsh.
Yeah.
And I could hear him, Chale, Onupa, and I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
And then I go, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I went downstairs, I said, what's happening? And he said, and your girl, Nuna, you know, what coming, mommy, hona? Which girl? What
Let's translate that.
Like, what are you talking about? And he said, me call Ghana, me call worry.
He straight up say, I went to Ghana and married.
Yes.
With no remorse.
Nothing.
To his wife.
Yes. And I said, what do you mean? Because we married here. Mind you, when I married this guy, he didn't have papers. I filed for him, and because his paper process was a little different, I had to go to court. We had to go to court because he came in with political asylum, which means he came in as he was running from a country. So his was completely different. So we had to do all of this stuff to get him his green card. And you sitting up here telling me you married? Like, what you mean? Like, we married. Me and you married. We together.
He did all of that for you at the age of 18, 19,
Yes.
like taking the schnapp thing, marrying
Yes.
and everything.
Yes.
He wanted to honor you.
All of this stuff.
How many years did it take him to, you know?
Turn the flip?
Yeah.
About 8 years. About 8 years it took him to completely switch. And I'm sitting there looking at him after he told me he went to Ghana and got married. And he came home one day, he said, I can't do this anymore. Packed up his bags and left me and my babies in this house we had just bought in Worthington. Because you know, when you get money, you're told to buy a house, right? You get money, buy a house, and then you living big and everybody knows that. So we had this fancy house in Worthington. And he's like, yeah, I can't do this. I'm like, you can't do what? Well, I don't understand. Explain it to me. What you mean you can't do it? What can't you do? He's like, I can't do this anymore. And he walked out. That was 8 years ago. Woo! Let me say that again so I can gather myself. Yeah. That was 8 years ago. 9 years now.
And how old were the kids?
So that was 8 years. So my daughter's 24 now. Okay. My middle one is 19. My youngest one is 16. And he left. Can I say I know how to put gas in my car? I had never went to the car wash before. I didn't know nothing. And the whole entire time he's gone, I'm like, he's going to be back. He don't have nowhere to go. Where he got to go? Where is he going? It's been us. This is us. Me and Ima against the world. We're going to get through it together. We are going to get through it together. He's coming back. He's just having a midlife crisis. I just wanted him to apologize to me. I wanted him to say, man, I messed up. And I love you. And I want to be with you. That's what I was looking for. I never got it till this day.
How long did you sit in disbelief?
Probably till 6 years. I just got a
What?
divorce 2 years ago, official divorce 2 years ago. I just filed the paperwork 2 years ago.
For 6 years, you were sitting there. He's
So
gonna come back.
Yes. And I'm talking to my therapist 3 years ago, and she's like, Nadlin, you gonna file the paperwork? I'm like, I will. Karen, I'm gonna get to it. And she looks at me, she said, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm gonna get to it. And she said, let me tell you something. You don't gotta fool me. I'm not judging you. You're gonna have to judge yourself. This man is married and gone. He is not coming back. I couldn't do it.
Was there any communication at all?
Not really. Not really. And there's still not. I didn't take him to child support because I felt like I didn't have to tell him to take care of his kids. And I stayed. A part of the reason why I stayed is because I knew that when I left, he was going to leave us. He's going to leave the kids. He was going to leave everybody. And that was hurtful because, remember, it's just us against the world.
Since 18.
Me, him, we could fight against my mama, and that was the biggest fight. We could fight against my dad. Those were the fights. It had nothing to do with the stuff that we were doing. It was hard. It was heartbreaking. It's still heartbreaking. My savior is gone. I don't think I could ever get another one. It makes me sad to think about it.
Yeah.
But what makes me strong now is the fact that I walked through it. I didn't walk past it. I walked through it.
You endured everything.
Not just through it, but I'm talking about sometimes when you're in pain, people want to shut that down. Have you realized in our culture, we tend to do that? When somebody passes away, they're like, oh, don't cry. Oh, don't do this. Sometimes you got to walk through the tears. You got to walk through the anger. You got to walk through those emotions and feel it. Because if you don't really deal with them. I'm telling you, you got to use your toolbox, prayer, whatever. If you got a juju man, go to him too. If you got a pastor, go to him. And you got your counselor, go to him. And you better take your meds if that's what you're on.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about, walking through it. Sitting here, I'm choked up because I don't remember who that woman was 8 years ago.
Wow.
I don't recognize her in the mirror anymore because it was a fight. It was a fight. I had to walk through there's days where I sat there and just cried. Not for a day, days. There's days I sat there and fought.
Did you have a support system?
No.
Nobody.
I isolated myself from everybody.
Okay.
And my middle daughter, who's always going to come through with the come through, went to a church event one day and I guess cussed out the youth leader person or whatever. Because,
your daughter?
Yeah, she got mad because they were telling her something she wanted to do and she cussed them out lovely. And she calls me up and they had called the cops on her because they thought she was going to lay hands on him. It's a church program. And she calls me up and I'm here and I'm like, what? Oh, hold on. I forgot that I was ghetto. You know, I told you I was in the Bronx. I forgot I was ghetto. I was like, hold on. About to drive down there. Poor Kyla. So for the ones that know Kyla, she's all, she's like, Mom, you about to drive? Yup, 4 hours. Get in the car. We going. About to beat him up. What you mean he called the cops on my dog? Hold on. Get in the car. Drive all the way to the campsite. Get there. As soon as I got there, the anticipation of me coming, you could tell something was about to go down. And I'm looking for him. I can't find him. And I get there and Caitlin's like, Mom, it was him right there. And I'm like, oh yeah, you did that to my daughter? You non-citizen. You don't even have paper. You did that to my daughter? And I'm going off, saying in the church program, by the way. Carry yourself well, lady. So I'm going off. I'm getting mad at him and going off and cursing. I said, Caitlin, get in the car. Caitlin's standing there. Yeah, that's my mom. Give me my money. Give me my money because you have to pay for those programs. And the guy's like, I'll give you your money when I come back to Columbus. She's like, you gonna give me my money right now? I said, yes, you are. You better out your pocket. Gets the money, we cuss him out, do all of that, come back. When I come back, the church is like, we're going to reprimand you because that was bad behavior. And they called me. So for the SDAs out there, they called me to the church board. And they asked me to sit there. And I called them, sitting in front of the Sahindrians because you're there by yourself and I'm in the middle. And everybody's throwing me a question. So finally, I looked at them and I was like, wait a minute. If my daughter had not acted a fool, nobody would have checked on me. You guys don't even know what's going on with me. Nobody has stopped to ask me why I behaved the way I did. It took my daughter doing this for us to be here. I've been going through a divorce by myself. I've been fighting this battle by myself. And you're here to discipline me because some church boy got his feelings hurt by a teenager? Get out of here with that. I said, take your church. Take your stuff. I said, he want an apology? Sorry. Sorry. That's what you want? Sorry. If you need that. But when you put yourself in a position of leadership, there's things that you just got to bear. And one of it is my daughter cussing you out because she was feeling some type of way. Obviously, she didn't trust you. And I walked away from it. And that's the first time anybody had ever even heard that I was going through a divorce.
Wow.
I was isolated. But when I'm isolated, I fight. So I got my master's in social work. I got my MBA all through this. And one day I got up and I said, I'm opening my own business. Forget this. Took all my 401k out. Come on, y'all. Let's do this all over again. Let's start over. Let's be real. Have you ever asked somebody, how did you get here? And they do the thing that where they say, oh, it was God. Yeah, we know it was God, but we want to know the steps. How did you really do it?
Yeah.
I filed for bankruptcy. Wow. I took all my $150,000 out of my 401k. So I'm giving you the steps. I'm giving you the steps, and I'm not telling you it was God. Yeah. I filed for bankruptcy to get my credit back together where I needed it to be. I did all of this stuff. I went through it. Got a divorce. Amen. Finally, I actually signed the paper, got the divorce, took the money out, paid my daughter's tuition off because I do not want any of my kids to have any student loans. Paid it off and got into business.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question actually before we even get to where we're at right now. I want to talk about the things you did as a rebellious teen that made it seem like, this child is out of control. What was the things you were doing?
Ooh, I had a couple of tattoos. The aunties don't get tattoos, right? We're not supposed to have my nose pierced. Listen, I had my hair pierced at some point. I had one right here. So I got a couple of it. I have one right here. I was out there.
Did you ever show your mom, like, Mom, I got my tattoos?
Listen, one day she saw me and I had a nose piercing and I've been hiding from her for 2 weeks because I used to just talk to her like this. and she turned around one day, she saw it. The way she slapped me, I thought my whole nose was going to fall down. And, first of all, I'm SDA, so there's no jury. And here you are with a nose ring, piercings up to here, and all of those things. I was rebelling. I was out there. There's one thing you're always going to get from me. My friend says I should write a book called, she's like, I should write a book called It Had to Be the White Jeans. And I was walking down one day. I was hungry. My foster care money hadn't hit yet. I was staying at my friend's house. I said, oh, I'm about to do process. I'm about to get somebody today. It's not hard. All they do is sleep with people to get money. Went on 42nd Street. I had on my white jeans. I was cute too. I ain't have all this gut that I'm about to cut. I ain't have all of it. So I was cute. Had my little shirt tied up. I'm walking up and down 42nd, hoping somebody gonna pick me up. Dude walks up to me. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to, what it look like? What they doing? And he said, you don't even look like you know what you're doing. Man, take this 50 and get out of here. You see how God comes through for you when you're not looking?
Yeah.
Because could you imagine what would have happened to my life if I had made that one mistake? And now when I think about it, I was telling my friend, and she laughs at me. She's like, girl, it had to be the white jeans. Maybe it wasn't cute. You weren't cute. And I was like, I was cute. But I'm like, nobody picked me up because that wasn't in the plans for me. God had different plans for me. So when your plans are interrupted, sometimes it's just a turn.
I think you should write that book and allow me to be the first person to buy it.
Yeah.
It had to be the white jeans. I'm going to wait for it.
You're going to wait for it. It had to be the white jeans. Now, nobody going to take my title now. Look. Don't come in here taking my title. You're going to have to. It's Nadlin's title. But like, it really, when you get those moments, take it. Because it's for a reason and a purpose.
Yeah.
All of it is for a reason and a purpose. Everything comes together in God's own time. And I know it sounds cliche right now, me saying that. Yeah. And it sounds dumb a little bit, but it's true. It all comes together. Every seizure that I've had was necessary. I needed to have those things. I needed those things to happen. The divorce was necessary.
What are some lessons you learned from, these things? Like, I want to just spit up pinpoints of what you've learned.
So I have learned resilience. And resilience in the way that, let me make it clear, I've learned that you just defy the odds, even when you're the only one standing. Listen, when people are like me, people are always trying to figure me out. It's not real, right? It doesn't seem like it's real, but this is me. This is me. It's all me, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And sometimes when you are like that, you out by yourself. You're not part of the group. You don't fit in. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Don't even try to fit in. I don't fit in. I'm the one that somebody's gonna have a fight with, right? You got a friend group, and somebody's gonna be like, oh, well, Nadlin said, that's me. That's gonna be me all the time. Because I'm gonna see something, I'm gonna just say it out loud. You gonna come out wearing that, and I'm like, who told you could put that on? And come on now. That's gonna be me. And people do not know how to confront the truth. But until we start confronting our truths as women, as Black women, as African American women, and saying life is hard, this marriage is not the greatest. I'm sad. I'm struggling in this. No, Mom, I don't want to be a nurse. I want to be a police officer. Until we start saying those things, we're never going to get there. So you got to stand out on the ledge. And you got to stay standing. Sometimes for a long time, because you don't get the answers from God very quickly. You know, you be waiting.
Time.
Look, especially when you're praying about stuff. You be praying about your future husband. Start praying about your future husband. You be waiting like, God, I want my future husband to be like this. And you're like, you telling me that? He ain't telling you nothing. That's you. No, that's you. You already created that man in your life. Yeah. It's okay. I say all of these things. So the stuff that I learned is I say these things because even though my husband wanted papers and he wanted to be married, guess what I got? 3 amazing kids from that.
Yeah.
A beautiful relationship for some time, but it was still a beautiful relationship. Yeah. There's no perfection. Stop. Ladies, stop sitting out here saying there's perfect stuff. There is no perfect stuff. You meet the man, meet him halfway. Help him grow. Even if it's for 2 years. Go get the dude from Ghana if you like him. File for him. Bring him. It's all right. That's a part of your story. Yeah. Do you know it's going to work? I don't know. But if you feel it in your heart, do it and live. We have put holds on our lives because we have so much expectations of what other people are really looking for. Forget them. They don't sleep with you. You don't got to answer to nobody but you. And we sit here as women all the time trying to fit that status quo. What is that? I don't know what that is, especially Ghanaian women. Marry him. Yes, with his drawers down, marry him. You can make some work out of that. Because that drawers down man may have been your savior.
Yeah.
Listen, me and Iman lived a really good life for a good 10 years. He was my best friend. He was my everything. I would do it all over again and file the papers for him all over again.
Wow.
He did what he could. And when he couldn't, he made a mistake and he walked away. But our season was over.
Yeah.
That's how God wanted it. That doesn't make him a bad person. That makes him a person that made mistakes. We act like we are faultless. We act like that, right? You want the perfect husband, the fairy tale wedding? Till y'all broke sitting on the bed after the wedding and y'all like, what we about to eat? But let's go through our gift box, see what we got, right? And then you think in the gift box, you think everybody gave you $200. Nah, they gave you 40. They gave you 40. You over there like,
Yeah.
No. Have the simple one. Have the simple engagement and live your life because that doesn't define you. After 10 years, if you want to have the boom wedding, I'm about that. Come. Yeah. Let me know because I want to come dance. Yeah. But don't live up to anybody's expectations because that's not how life is. That's what I've learned. So I live life on my own now. I've learned. I say my husband took me to the school of PhD. I've learned what submission is. Ain't nothing wrong with being submissive.
You want to talk about that?
Listen, y'all ready? I don't think y'all ready. You sure you ready?
I'm ready.
Ain't nothing wrong with being submissive.
Yeah.
You hear me?
How do you become submissive? Because I've heard that if a man is in his masculine, it makes it easy for the submissive part to come out. What do you think about that? Is that true?
It could be. I think it's both ways. And I think everybody's journey is different. But however, submissiveness doesn't mean that you're stupid. Submissiveness doesn't mean that you're behind the man. Submission is just, what is the Bible verse that everybody, wives, please submit to your husband. But then towards the end of that verse, it says, but husbands, love your wives as the church, Jesus loved the church. Listen, if a man is willing to love you, you know it. Sometimes you can't see it all the way because he doesn't have the qualities to make him full grown. It's women that make men full grown because you got to respect them. Men don't care about romance. They care about respect. When you respect your man, all the stuff they're going to do for you, girl.
Do you know what respecting the man looks like?
It's different for every man because every man sees it different.
Okay.
So I realized when I was in my marriage, one of the things I do, he says one, I've been said 15. My mouth. I remember the first time I called this man a nigga. I was so mad at him. I can't even remember what I was mad at him for, but he was sitting there and I was like, you know what? Nigga, you get on my last nerves. And he said, what did you say to me? I said, nigga, that's what you are. He said, you called me a nigga. Yeah, I called you a nigga. And I remember he was heated. And I could understand why. But you a nigga. This is what I'm thinking. But you a nigga. He was a nigga in the aspect of the word nigga, but he had never heard me say that.
It's insulting.
It's insulting.
Yeah.
Another thing is when you take over. Women like us tend to take over.
Yeah.
We don't do it purposefully, but it just comes. You get into a room and you get all the attention and they feel neglected. That happened in my relationship. He felt neglected quite a lot.
Wow.
And that was a part of submission. And sometimes you got to check yourself before you go and you got to allow him just to be a man. And sometimes you just have to say, do you like this dress? Do you appreciate this dress? I didn't cook in my marriage. I don't know how to cook. I still don't. And he did all the cooking. And I don't ever remember saying
it didn't change the fact that you're a woman. Cooking didn't define you.
It didn't.
Okay.
And so but now I think to it like, I should have gone in the kitchen with him. I should have stood next to him and said, hey, you need help with this. Because sometimes he'll be tired too, and I was taking it for granted. Don't take things for granted. So submissiveness is nothing wrong with it. Even at a young age, you learn that. When you talking, is that what y'all do now? You talk? You don't really have,
honestly, I don't even know what that is. I don't know what talking.
Either we're in a relationship
or a relationship or what talking is. Like, I don't get
me neither.
Step that is.
Me neither. But whatever that step, even when you're talking, you watch how you talk because you have to carry yourself in that way. First impressions are first impressions. Don't take that for granted.
Yeah.
You only get one.
Yeah.
You only get one, and that's okay. And that's okay. Make your impression. Look, I woke up this morning, I knew I was going to do this. So I went to work fully dressed up, knowing that I was going to do this later. First impressions matter. When he sees you the first time, don't sit up here and say, I don't care what he think of me. He going to like, no, you be saying now, he going to like me regardless of what I'm wearing. No, he ain't. You look dirty. He don't like you. You wearing a nightgown. You look sloppy. You out here in a bonnet.
Men are very visual.
They're all visual actually because they see visual. They like that.
Yeah.
So you have to carry yourself well. And that brought me to the vegan and eating well. And I've lost.
You mentioned you lost almost 100 pounds.
Yes, almost 100. Thank you. All of that. Your skin.